So you see that drawbridge right there? You might wonder, why are we going through a drawbridge? We're supposed to be going over to the Bahamas, right? Well, funny story. Actually not really funny. Super embarrassing. I think I've told a bunch of you guys to watch Sail Life. And on that channel, that's the guy from Denmark there. When he makes a blunder, he calls himself Captain Dunkopf. Well, I think I'm Captain Dunkopf over here. It's been pointed out to me that maybe it was an informational bias, that I really wanted to get information, but I wanted the information to be what I wanted, not what was actually there. And I'd gone through the ICW for so long, and I talked to so many people in the anchorage, and they all say go down to Miami from Fort Lauderdale, cross it to the Gulf Stream, and you'll be able to have a good angle to do so. So last night, or yesterday afternoon, our plan was to get into Miami ahead of time. We were going to get in there just before sunset. Everything was looking good, and we went through a million bridges, and it was beautiful. Went through Hollywood, went all over the place, and it was wonderful. Really fun time. And I'm looking a couple bridges ahead because they have them open on the quarter hour, on the half hour, on the hour, and so I'm trying to make sure that I get to each bridge in time. And all of a sudden, the next bridge after the one that I'm waiting for, I'm looking at, it's a fixed bridge, so I look and it says 56 feet. And I'm like, oh my God, we gotta turn around. And so I'm looking for a way out, and I can't find a way out. There's a couple ways out, but they're like 37 feet to get under a bridge to get out to the ocean that way. And then just then my buddy Courtney calls from Cape Ann Towing. I go, Courtney, I messed up. I can't believe I did this. And he goes, why didn't you ask me? You can't get to go there, you gotta go out. And so I swore that all the people in the anchorage were telling me, yeah, no, we just take the ICW down to Miami and then shoot across from Miami when the weather window's good. I would have swore, I would have bet the farm that at least 3 different boats told me to do that. But I don't think they're lying to me. I really think that I heard what I wanted to hear, and that's a really dangerous thing that happens more often than I don't think that with I'm just saying more often with me. I'm saying it happens with many of us. Not all of us are willing to admit it. But anyway, so we turned around and ran out of light, and went to Hollywood and dropped the anchor, and now we got up early before the sun came up and headed for Fort Lauderdale, and we're gonna get out in the ocean and try to, I don't know, I was thinking that I guess if we hug the coast we won't be in too much of the Gulf Stream, I'm hoping. But if we're gonna be in the Gulf Stream, we might as well start going at a 45 and crabbing across the Gulf Stream. So we'll see how it goes. All right, wish me luck. Hopefully I won't take anyone's word for anything, or I won't misinterpret what people are saying, and I'll check everything out myself. Pretty dumb. Welcome to the channel. Hello and welcome, I'm Tim and this is SV Paquita. Come along every week as I get this island packet ready to hopefully someday cast off the lines for the last time. I come from a background of being a lifelong professional mariner, and I've had to make the adjustment from doing that to living life on the recreational side. We've just come back from Puerto Rico, and then we spent the summer up in the Gulf of Maine, and now we're going to take the ICW down to Florida and hopefully spend the winter in the Bahamas. So come along with us every week. I think you'll like it. Well, we got out Fort Lauderdale about 9:30 or so. We had about 50 miles to go, I think 48 and change, 49, something like that. And it says we have 24.8 miles to go. So we're right about at the halfway mark. And it's blowing 23.5 right here. Apparent wind speed is 21. We've got a reef in the main and a reef in the head sail. And we're moving right along. Well, it's all over the place, but There's 6 knots consistent, 6.6. Just said 8 a second ago. Depends if we're going up a wave or down a wave. But I'm here with Disan.
Hello.
Disan is Cristalida's oldest son, and he's going with us. Cristalida has gone down below because she's wearing her doobie. If any of you know what a doobie is, write in the comments. Is it with a T or a D?
With a T.
Oh, it's a tubie. I thought it was a doobie. So it's a tubie. Okay, with a T, he says. So that's something that is not as prevalent in my culture as it is in Crisalida's. So that's something, but she doesn't want to be on camera as long as she's got her tubie on. And it's not a piece of clothing, if you're wondering. Anyway, so if all goes well, we're right in the Gulf Stream. We're saying 84.15 degrees is the temperature. Says we're supposed to get there at 5:13 p.m. And the thing that's kind of interesting is I have, for over a week, I have had a terrible time. I can't make the Customs and Immigration, it's Click to Clear website work. I mean, it comes up and then it sends you to links that are broken and they don't work and all that sort of stuff. Well, I've talked to other people in the Anchorage and they told me that's been like that for a long time and everyone's used to it. But if you remember, I also was understanding from people in the Anchorage about going down the Intercoastal all the way to Miami. Once again, that's probably me misinterpreting things, but anyway, you see the fishing rod out? Cristalida's luck is held out again. We put the oh, hang on a second. All right. We put the hook in the water, and we weren't. I don't think we had it in the water more than a minute or so before we had a mahi on, and we reeled him in, or her in, I should say. Put the hook back in, and we just set it out and caught another one of her sisters. Brought them in, so we've got Cristalida being the incredible marinera or morina that she is. She filleted them up and skinned one, left the skin on for when we bake one of them, and then the other one we took the skin off. I cut it into pieces and squeezed some limes and put some other stuff in there and making ceviche. So the ceviche is in the fridge, and I just found out apparently it's not, you don't call it cooking when it's the acid. Apparently the proper term is called denaturing. Didn't know that, but now I do. So how do you like that? Anyway, so we'll report to you more as we go along, but we should have about a little less than 5 hours to go, and hopefully we'll be in Bimini, and hopefully they'll receive us, because there's a real good chance we get in there. Today's Friday. We're gonna get there after 5 o'clock at this rate, 5:16 right now. So if that happens, I'm sure that the being a Friday, it'd be wonderful if Customs and Immigration was still open, but I'm sure that they're going to be closed. Oh, incidentally, I emailed them and haven't heard anything back. I called the phone number and it said that the person's handset has not been put back on the cradle. Swear to God. Then, so I don't know what's going to happen when we get there. I assume that no one's going to be there tonight. Tomorrow is Saturday, which Saturday in itself would be a problem, but it's also Saturday Christmas Eve, so that ought to be a problem as well. And then Sunday is Sunday, obviously, but this time it's going to be Christmas. So you would think that even Monday might be the observed holiday. So we might be prisoners on Paquita for quite a while to come. We might have to end up hanging the yellow flag and just staying on the boat. I don't think we're going to stay in, if that's the case, we're not going to stay in Bimini. We'll run the yellow flag and just not go anywhere, you know, but start heading for the Berry Islands maybe. And when things, you know, I imagine once we get to Bimini, we'll hear about, well, hopefully we'll have a plan by then. Columbus took a chance, so I guess we can too, right? Anyway, that's it for now. Well, before too long, we got to the edge of Bimini, and it's kind of interesting. The water goes from a couple thousand feet right up to 20 feet. So that offshore swell really kind of lifted up when we got there. It was interesting coming in, and the buoys weren't on the chart the way that, well, the buoys were represented on my chart plotter differently than they were than what my eyes were seeing. Said shifting sands and all this sort of stuff. So I was really fortunate. A big yacht, big power yacht, 100 and some feet or whatever, went zooming by us right as we were getting up there. And so I figured where he went, we probably could too. So I watched how he went in and followed in behind him. And once we got up there, we kind of head for the beach and then hang a left. And then we started headed in. You can see the color of the water has changed already. That beautiful Bahamas blue, turquoise colored water. Now, if any of you guys were, I was going to say on the East Coast, but I think it affected most of the country. Right around Christmas there, it really got cold for a lot of places, and the Bahamas was no exception either. It was warm compared to the rest of the country. That's compared to the rest of the U.S., but on Bahamas standards, it was chilly. But this was one of the last days that we had any blue sky. After this, we had a couple days of just, it was relatively miserable. I shouldn't say miserable. That's not being fair, but it was overcast and cold. We had to wear t-shirts, sweatshirts, that sort of stuff. Made for great sleeping at night, but the wind howled the whole time, and that made for great sailing as well. And then, of course, you'll see as in subsequent videos here that as time progressed, the system moved out and the Bahamian weather came in, and it got beautiful. And with that, the wind kind of died out too. So I guess you have to. I guess there's a silver lining in everything. That's one of the things that's kind of fun about sailing, is that if you don't have the greatest, what one person might think is not the greatest weather, because you usually have some wind that goes along with that, and that makes for great sailing. So that's the way that is. But anyway, we were going in here, and I've never been in here before. Also didn't, like I say, I also wasn't really sure how everything was going to work out as far as whether we were going to be legal and be able to check in or not. That was something that I was a little concerned about, but you will see how we did that in just a second. Here you can see we're kind of entering what I would call the inner harbor for Bimini. And as you can see, it was sheltered very well from the swell and the wind. It was a little concerning because on the chart it says where there's a customs building and a customs dock and all that sort of stuff. And that looks like that has, I don't know what the history is behind there, but that is not what's going on there at all. So I went to the end, and this is something called, I think this is called like Big Game or something like that, Big Game Marina, Big Sport Fish Game Marina, something like that. Anyway, this is like the last marina before the end, and my plan was to get up here and drop the hook and run ashore and ask some questions before, like I say, the time is ticking, because I don't know if they're still open or not, but I was hoping they'd stay open long enough for us to check in. Fortunately, when we got over here, we saw a couple local fishermen, and I bribed them with a couple beers and got some local information from them. and they told us that no, we are in fact at the right place, that you can go into the marina and they'll help us out there, and then customs is right in the same right in the same facility that the marina's at, and then you have to go up to the police station. So that's what I ended up doing. You can see Deson's helping me anchor. We anchored with about less than a foot of water underneath the keel, but it was nice, and so figured we'd go there. So anyway, for those that are interested in going, if you too are having some problems with the Click to Clear website, I don't know that this was the problem, but in thinking about it later, I use a VPN, a virtual private network, that kind of protects things that I do online, and that actually might have been the problem. That might have been the thing that was giving me all the problems of connecting it. I'm not sure of that, but just to give you a warning, if you're having trouble with it and you're using a VPN, try to shut your VPN off and see if you can have any better success with it. But if none of that works, you can do what I did, and that's I showed up. I went up to the marina, and they were just about ready to close down, and the girl in the office said, they said, look, you can go to the customs, but you really need to pay like an agent, or you Click to Clear, or you pay an agent. And the girl at the front desk said, I can do it for you. You're gonna have to pay me a little bit of money, but I'll do it for you. And at that point, I was just like, yeah, do whatever you got to do. So she did it, and she charged me $40, and that was definitely worth it for me, just so that I wouldn't be stuck on the boat for a week being, illegal. Anyway, after that, I took all the papers in hand, and she got me some special code that I needed, and I went over to the customs people. Yeah, I think it was I don't know if it was the immigration. I always get custom and immigration confused, which one's which, but I went to the first one there, and they told me to go to the second place. And the second place would be at the police station, which was just a little 3-minute walk up the street. Very cute little place. You can see me taking off in the dinghy over here, armed with all the paperwork from the boat, which I thought I needed, but I think I only needed my documentation. I didn't need my insurance papers and all that sort of stuff. But also the passports of all three of us. And we went over here, and we went, like I said, I did everything I just told you I did. And got everything stamped over, got our passport stamped at the police station, came back to customs or immigration or whatever, and had to buy a $300 $300 3-month cruising permit. And that also included my fishing license, so I was pretty happy with that. Anyway, they were, like I said, this was Christmas Eve, and a Friday night to boot. I'm sure that if it was any of us, we'd be very cross to have some guy from the U.S. coming over so late, and so I was treading very lightly. But I could say the Bahamian people were very welcoming and very nice, and they took care of me very well and said, no, we're always open, or I guess they're open till 8 o'clock or something like that anyway. And so I was really happy. And just another note, any of you that might be thinking of doing this trip, apparently you used to have to check out, and there were some ways that you could check out online, and you could also call in and check out, and apparently all that's waived now, so you don't have to do that anymore. Now there is a process about checking back into the US, but we'll talk about that later. But anyway, that's that. And give you an idea, after I got back to the boat, we hauled up the anchor, we went down and found a spot at the end of the harbor here that was loaded full of Canadians. I've never seen so many. I think there were more Canadians in this anchorage than there are in all of Canada. But anyway, the wind was blowing that night, and there were some people that were very upset with us because we came in late, and I don't think that they had a lot of faith in our anchoring ability. And we tried to diffuse the situation by telling them, look, if anything happens, we'll move. But we understand that we're the last ones in, so we'll be the first ones out if anything happens. But I assure you we're all fine. And it seems like after we talked to them, everybody calmed down. And sure enough, the night was fine. And early the next morning, I got up, and I couldn't get out of there fast enough. Just to, you want to relax in an anchorage, but when your neighbors get you when you don't seem to be, when you seem to be that guy in the anchorage, you want to get out early. So we got out the next day. But anyway, just a quick little video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And stick around. We got some fun stuff coming up down in the Exumas. Take care, you guys. Be safe. And as always, I'll see you on the one.